Once you've seen one, there is no mistaking a Gila monster. They are the largest lizard native to the United States. Gila monsters appear stout and have short limbs carrying an elongated body with a thick tail. A large adult can get to be 21 inches long, with hatchlings generally 6 to 6 1/2 inches long. One thing you'll notice right away about the Gila monster is their skin. It looks like beadwork, but is actually made up of individually rounded and raised scales. Embedded within the scales covering the body are small bony plates. This protective bony skin appears to have been fairly common in dinosaurs, but the Gila monster is one of the few reptiles still in existence with such an extensive use of this type of body armor. There are two subspecies of Gila monsters, the reticulated and the banded. Both subspecies are patterned the same when they hatch. As adults, they have a distinct black body with pink or orange markings. The reticulated Gila monster has markings that are broken up to form a mosaic type of pattern. The banded Gila monster has markings that form an unbroken band across the back.
Gila monsters are considered an icon of the Southwest. It's amazing that this is the biggest lizard in the United States. This lizard's one of only 2 venomous lizards in the world, yet we know very little about how these animals interact with their environment in order to survive.
Dale DiNardo, a biologist with Arizona State University, is heading up a research effort to determine how the Gila interacts with its environment. The study presents some unique challenges.
There's a reason why we haven't learned a lot about Gila monsters yet, is that they're not very easy to study. They're a relatively secretive animal. They're relatively hard to find, and you can't just go out and say, oh, I'm going to go out and find a bunch of Gila monsters. So fortunately, with modern technology, we can take advantage of that and actually learn about these Gila monsters. So we use radio telemetry to actually implant a telemeter inside the abdomen of these animals. So by doing that, they give off a signal in which we can go after and find this animal anytime we want. And this allows us to learn more about where they are, when they're doing what they're doing, and how they're utilizing their environment. So we have 18 animals right now out here radio tracking, which keeps for a very busy time because these animals are quite active. Like, they're active foragers looking for food, looking for mates. They'll cover a lot of ground. And in addition to having these radio transmitters inside them so we can track them, these animals also have temperature data loggers inside of them, meaning we put these small little devices inside their body so we can record body temperature of these animals every hour for about 3 months. And this allows us to know what is the conditions, at least the temperature conditions, of the environment in which they're at. We also know the temperature of the field site here. We have temperature of the ground, different depths. We have temperature in the air and the shade on different areas. So we know what the environmental temperatures are, but by knowing what the Gila monster's temperatures are, we can know how he's utilizing that environment in order to meet its needs and make sure that it doesn't get too hot or too cold.
Gila monsters are predominantly diurnal, meaning they are active during the day. They prefer relatively cool temperatures and love the water. Being a creature of the desert, they have evolved to survive and even thrive in the desert's hot, arid environment. Gila monsters like to eat big meals. In fact, an adult male Gila can consume its entire yearly energy intake in 3 or 4 meals. This allows them to consume most of their food during the limited spring activity period. Their food requirements are reduced by a low metabolic rate, as well as the relatively cool body temperatures they maintain for most of the year. Gila monsters specialize in feeding on the young and eggs in nests.
Gila monsters exclusively are nest raiders. They're not eating anything that's wandering around. They forage widely looking for nests, and they're looking for nests of mammals, small mammals, birds, and even reptile eggs.
Their primary activity period coincides with the availability of their main food source, the nesting Gambel's quail. Immediately after eating, large quantities of a hormone that reduces blood sugar levels begins to circulate in the Gila's blood. This is believed to slow down the Gila monster's metabolism. A synthetic version of this hormone is currently being investigated as a treatment for human diabetes. Now, look at their tails. Gilas have specially adapted tails that allow them to store fat away for future needs.
Most reptiles store fat exclusively in what are called fat bodies or fat pads in their abdomen. But Gila monsters also have fat pads in the base of their tail and down on the bottom of their tail, so they can store even additional fat in their tail. And if you look at a Gila monster during seasons when there's a lot of food, their tail will be extremely fat, and it's fat indicating that they have a lot of energy reserves. And as they go through periods when they can't feed, they'll start consuming that stored energy from their tail and also from other reserves, and this tail will actually shrink down and get skinnier and skinnier, and you can tell how well a Gila monster's been doing in terms of feeding based on the girth of its tail.
Remember, if you encounter a Gila monster in the wild, it is illegal to take the reptile from where you found it. Just touching one may be dangerous. They are, after all, a venomous creature. Just look, take pictures if you want, and marvel at the diversity found in our wildlife here in Arizona.